Now let's see how we can add more information from other type of files. So this file that I had added first would be the limits, is factorial data. Uh, People know it as shapefile. But the advantage of this format called GeoPackage is that it's a unique file. For shapefile, you need 3 to 4 files for just one layer. So that's this format that was created. It's more modern and it allows to have everything in just one file. But many times the information is not a spatial. You find information in CSV. It's something that we already used in R, and there's the need to join the spatial information that we have with the geometry or the information that exists in this other file, for example. And this is one of the things that we're going to show you next. In order to add these type of CSV files, you can use this option to add a delimited layer. It can be separated by the comma. So I'm going to look for the file. You must have this maze file that comes from the census. So that's the summarized information for the yield per municipality. And I'm going to choose the type of information that's CSV, separated by comma, and I'm going to maintain the options here that the first registry has the names of the fields. So the names are here and are going to be kept in the first line, in the first row. And also to detect the types of fields, to detect if it's a numerical or characters. And I'm going to choose here that there's no geometry. So out of this information I'm going to add, it just has tables, no geometry. So you can ignore this configuration. And there's an example here on how the data looks like. So these are the columns, and this is the data. So we're going to add it. You can close this. And you can see that the symbol is a little bit different. It just contains a table. It has no geometry in it. So I cannot see where the data is because there's no geometry, but I can see the table. So in this table, I have the key of the municipality, then the area that was planted, harvested, the total volume, the yield. I can see the price and also the total value of the production. So with this table, I have the information, I have the key of the municipality, but I don't have the geometry. So I cannot do a map. So how can I do to have a map? I can go to this file that has the geometry and that also has the same key. I double click on it to see the properties. And another option that I have available in properties would be the unions. So this is what we also use in R, and those joins on how you can join one table with another table. But the advantage here is that one table has the geometry. So I'm going to use this table that has the geometry as my base layer, and I go to this plus symbol to add a join that will bring more information from another layer and does not contain a geometry. So I'm going to the field that has the same in both, will be the key of the municipality or clave municipio, and you can see the type of data. It's different, as you can see, and this could be a problem. So I'm going to verify this once again, and I'm going to keep these options checked. The only thing that I'm going to do is to work on this prefix so that the name is not that long. Since the fields aren't included in the geometry, I'm going to remove the prefix so that it's simpler. Apparently nothing happened, but what changes is if I go to fields, everything that's in green are the fields that come from the union, from the join. So I had all these fields, and now I have these additional columns that I can use to generate a map, for example. So I open the attribute table, and the same thing can be seen here. The name of the municipality, the key, everything that was sowed, harvested, all the information that I had in the other file. What's interesting is that now I can use this information for doing the maps. So let's see how we do that. So I can do zoom on the layer to see everything. So this is everything that I have available. And you can use another option here. That's duplicate layer. It's important to be careful with this because when duplicating the layer, it does not duplicate the file, just creates another option in QGIS so that we can use two different styles. But if you're going to perform an operation that changes the original data, then you have to be very careful because this is going to change in both. But the file is the same one. So I duplicate the layer, and you get a note over here that says that we're using the same database. So I've already got my limits and the copy of the limits. So I go once again to revise it. I say I have the same table and everything the same, but I'm not going to leave this as a limit. I can rename it. And renaming in QGIS will not change the name of the file that's in the computer. So now I'm going to use the information that's in this layer that comes from the CSV file for yield to do a map with different colors based on the yield. So I go to symbology once again, and I don't want a unique symbol, but I want instead a scale of colors. So the column that I'm going to choose would be the yield. And I just want, I want the fill. So I'm going to change it to solid fill. And now I'm going to remove this part. Now I'm going to choose a scale of colors. I like this one. It goes from yellow to blue, and I can invert it so that the darker color has the highest values for yield. We can also change the way you want each one of the intervals. I like to use the equal because it shows the maximum variation. The quantile, you can press accept and look how the map looks. Now I have a map where the colors mean yield, represent the yield. So the yellow color here would be the minimum yield up to the dark purple or blue that has the highest yield. If I want to see more variation, something softer, I can increase the number of classes. So I apply, and now I have one color for every class for every municipality. So I can see even more differences. So this is just something that you can customize to whatever fits you best, and also based on the information that you'd like to show. Something else that we can see here would be the histogram. I can load the values here, and these are the values that are available. I can also create the different classes with a click here, just clicking here. I want to separate a class here, another one with the values that have 0 only, and then I press apply and see how it looks. This can also be used to see the distribution of the colors in the histogram and to have more control on how I want the legend to look like. You can also keep the legend opened in order to see what whatever color means. So this is an amazing beginning. We didn't have anything at the beginning. Now we have all the limits, and we and now know how we can add information from a CSV file and how to join it to a file that has the geometry. Something else that can be done from this part, and this is independent to the style that we applied, but you can also save the layer. So I can go to export and save the objects as. And the advantage of doing this is that now all the columns from both files are going to be merged in one. So I'm going to change the type. Currently I'm using the GeoPackage, the format called GeoPackage, which is the one that I recommend. And we can change the name of the file. We can rename it. I already have a file here that's called Rendimiento Chiapas, but this is a joint file, so Rendimiento Chiapas Unión. I can see the way that the information is being visualized, and this is going to create a new file that's going to be saved in your hard drive, and that it contains all the columns. So it's not a join. Instead of that, all of the columns are going to be part of the same file. So this can be another way to share the information so that everything's already joined in one file and not the virtual join as we had it before. We can also remove the layer if we want. I showed how to add it, but we can also remove it. If I don't want to keep this layer or the other layer, I can go to this button and remove it. And it's going to remove the layer. And where your map is ready, where everything's ready, I recommend to go over here and save project. So like every hour or less, you can come to this button and save the project, because if you perform a risky operation, some things can be become a problem. So you should save just in case, in order to avoid losing all the work you've done